again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on this crispy, cool January day. This is our January edition of Impactful Conversations with Gayle Brown, and our theme today is Black Women Who Lead in the NBS. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gayle Brown, Equity Leadership Strategist, Executive Leadership Coach, and CEO of Guest Brown Impact, an award-winning leadership development firm where I work with women of color to overcome challenges to equity, pay equity, leadership development, and purpose, where so that their families I can help them put their families on firmer financial footing. Today's theme at Guest Brown Impact, we really believe that all of these systemic inequities that we face in the workplace are just the leadership challenge of our generation, right? I work with women to overcome those challenges in the workplace. I am so excited to speak to you today about the National Brotherhood of Skiers, an organization that has been around for 50 years. If you can believe that, we'll be celebrating our 50-year anniversary at Vail, Colorado in just about 2 weeks. And I'm so excited about the lineup that we're going to be talking to today. So, some of you may be surprised, but others of you maybe not. But 50 years ago, it was not such a friendly environment for us to be skiing on the slopes back then. And thus, our founders, Ben Finley and Art Clay, got together and formed the National Brotherhood of Skiers. It's got quite a bit of history around it, and I want to share a little bit of that history with you today. So let's hit. We'll see. Just REI did a video on the NBS, and we'll see just a little bit over 2 minutes of that clip today.
40 plus years ago, there weren't a whole lot of folks that look like me on the slope. I remember as a kid, my dad taking us skiing. There was definitely overt racism.
You have to picture this. This is 1973. It was just after the Black Power movement.
When we first came together, it was the challenge of being alone on the mountain as a person of color by yourself. And that's why they all came together 45 years ago.
I think at that time there were 3 or 4 ski clubs in Chicago, and there were at least 2 ski clubs in Los Angeles. There was a need for us to move in groups, and it may have provided a safe feeling. We decided, gee, it would be nice if we could get all these ski clubs together, and we'll invade Aspen, Colorado. We did not know how this grouping, this gathering was going to be accepted in Aspen. And then I think 10 days before the event started, we sent the Aspen newspaper a press release saying black folks were coming to town. Well, this shook up Aspen. And they ended up putting the whole National Guard on standby.
At first, we were just interested in getting together. Out of just getting together, the organization grew. By the time the enrollments hit a peak, we were getting about 5,000 to 10,000 folks to show up. It was unbelievable.
Oh, this is great. I'm telling you, there's nothing I can compare it to. We're having a wonderful time.
We appreciate the hospitality, and we're not even halfway there. We love you. You're the greatest. We'll be back too.
Wasn't that fun to see those memories? That summit was actually 6,200 people at Vail in 1993. This book captures a lot of great memories from the NBS. It's called Mountains and Memories and Myths by Naomi Bryson. She was the first Black female leader in the NBS, and she wrote this book on our 40th anniversary. And so I was able to capture a lot of great memories, a lot of great details in here. I think all of our leaders that are joining us today are in this book. So they're part of NBS history and the legacy that we're leaving as a ski organization. As a Black ski organization, an association, it's the largest association across the country, no matter what ethnicity. So it's really something. I think I'm impressed about the organization behind it. Today, we are going to meet some amazing women who have contributed in large ways and significant ways at every level of the organization. So I'm going to start, I'm going to bring up we're going to start at the local level with our local president, Sharon Nichols Sargent. And so I have known Sharon over the years. Sharon helped me on the slopes when I was learning how to ski. She was the one that was coaching me down the hill. So I really appreciate her, but I really appreciate her longevity. So Ebony has been, was founded in 1982, and Sharon has been the president since 2002. So that makes her the president right about 21 years. That's a long time. She was instrumental in forming Ebony's, or sponsoring actually, and fundraising for Ebony's Outstanding Youth Program. The program identified and trained African American youth ages 7 to 17 in the greater Sacramento area, interested in competitive skiing and snowboarding. The program was a great success, and many of Ebony's skiers transitioned to the National Brotherhood of Skiers ski team, the national team. The national ski team. That was a huge thing for us. My husband and I, Ernest and I, led that local ski team, and really that's where we fell in love. So we have some fun memories that we created as a result of being in the NBS, putting that youth race team together and taking kids to the hill, up and down the hill for 8 years, every other weekend. It was a blast. But a little bit more about Ebony and Sharon. Ebony's ski club participates in a variety of events. Skiing is primary, of course, but they've also do camping, houseboating, softball, beach parties. Socializing is where people come. So socializing with Ebony is a lot of fun. And we provide opportunities to meet African American professionals in a relaxed social settings. So our events are legendary. I think we've had at least 3 marriages formed out of that ski club. I know mine was one, Sharon's was another, Joel and his wife, and who knows, Sharon, you can probably tell us more. Let's bring Sharon up. Hey, Sharon. Thank you for joining us.
Gigi.
I know you've got a lot going on, but I appreciate you taking time out to spend some time with us today to talk about the NBS, your leadership in it, and all that we've been able to accomplish. Tell us a little bit more, though. I want to let my readers, my listeners, to know more about you other than your accomplishments. So tell us a little bit about your family heritage. How did you get into skiing?
Okay, so a little bit about myself real quick. I'm from a small town called Weed, California, which is in Northern California, and it snows up there. One would think that because I was born in Weed that I would have learned how to ski early on in my career, my life, but of course I did not. I was introduced to skiing in 1994, I believe, by one of my childhood friends. and I attended my first winter carnival at Alpine, and I didn't know how to act. It was an experience that we'll never, ever, ever forget. I'm a mother of one. Like you mentioned, I have to credit the ski club with me finding my husband. We've been married 21 years. He was a member of Ebony Ski and Racket Club. And like you said, we've had several marriages form out of socializing with the ski club.
That's one of the fun things about the ski club that I loved, is the opportunity to just have camaraderie with the other gender without having to be on a date, right? Just to be able to go to movies together as a group, be able to go to, we've done canoeing, we've done a lot of things together, right? Houseboating and that kind of thing. I had a lot of fun. I remember my first whitewater rafting. Yeah, right. So a great opportunity for people to get together. How did you first get into skiing? What made you go to Alpine that day?
So I didn't have anything else to do, and my friend was a member of Ebony Ski and Racket Club,
Oh,
and
okay.
she said, "Come on, let's go."
Okay.
So we went, and we stayed in this dive hotel that was in Truckee, and it didn't matter because there was so much fun to be had on the mountain. And I took my first lesson. I will always, always, always encourage people to take lessons, because even if you have a friend or your husband or someone close to you that says, "I'll teach you," do not let them teach you. You need to go have a professional lesson. So I took some lessons and I fell in love with it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good tip. Always get a lesson. I start the season with a lesson every season just so I can remember what I forgot.
Yeah.
How did you get into leadership? Tell us about what made you step up into leadership at Ebony.
Well, one of my girlfriends that was a member of Ebony Ski and Racket Club, she didn't like the way the club was going, so she bamboozled me and convinced me to run for president.
Uh-huh.
And she was supposed to be the vice president, but she shared with me, "I'll do all the work. You don't have to worry about that." So we ran, and I won, and she didn't.
She didn't win, so you were your vice president.
Right. So I had this other person that was my vice president, and it was like, what is it? Trial under fire. Like, I learned as I went, and I was able to handle things.
Well, apparently, and you're still handling things. So we thank you for your service. You've been an awesome president. I appreciated you when I knew I wanted to keep you in office because you were such a strong support for the youth race team. And I appreciate all the support you and all the funds you raised for us to help young African-American skiers ski. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you. So I also have some other guests I'd like to bring into the room. I want to talk a little bit about the next level of leadership at the NBS is the regional level. And we've got Zeffie Bruce here, the vice president at that time of the Western region. And Zeffie I have a little bit here about her, a native of Oakland, California. She was elected to the office of the Western Region Vice President of the NBS in 2011, and she served in that capacity until 2017, so 6 years. Before that position, though, she served as the treasurer for Fire and Ice and for 4 years, and the president of Fire and Ice for 5 years. So always in leadership, always in leadership, no matter where she is. She's first introduced to skiing. She was first introduced to skiing when dating her now husband. They went on his first ski trip to Heavenly Ski Resort in Lake Tahoe, not knowing anything about ski wear. They Scotch guarded their jeans, at least they did that. And without lessons, they tumbled and fell down the bunny hill. And that's exactly what happens when you don't go with lessons. Zeffie has a degree in political science for San Jose State. After working as a legal specialist for 28 years. She made a career change and now is working at her alma mater, San Jose State, as a faculty analyst. She's held positions in her county as well as an art commissioner and a parks and recreation commissioner. Zeffie and her husband Donnie are been skiing over 30 years. They have 5 children, 10 children, grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Let's welcome Zeffie into the room. Hey, Zeffie, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. So nice to see you. I think it must be a requirement for the presidents to have great smiles. That's what I've noticed. Sharon's got a great smile. You've got a great smile. There's something about that. I guess you have to be welcoming, right?
Yeah. I don't know. To me, any day you wake up, it's a day to smile.
All right. I hear you, girl. We need some more of that thinking out there. But I welcome you. I welcome you to the conversation. And I'd love for the people listening in to know a little bit more about you. So if you could tell us a little bit about your family, where you're from, where your people are from, and then a little bit about what made you go skiing? What made you get into skiing?
Okay. Well, as you read in the bio, I was born in Berkeley, raised in Oakland. My parents are from Louisiana. So what made me want to go skiing was, we had kids young. So we were empty nesters fairly young because our daughter went off to college. So we're like, okay, now what are we going to do, right?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine talked me into going to a club meeting. So I went to this club meeting, sat there, and I thought, oh, wow, Fire and Ice. It was exciting. They had a lot of things going on. Came back and told Donnie about it. So I said, I think I'm going to join this. And he's like, okay. So I joined the next meeting, and then the person was the treasurer at the time. She said, why don't you be my financial secretary? You won't have to do much work.
That seems like I see a theme coming on.
Right. So after I became the financial secretary, she quit her job as treasurer. So then I became the treasurer, and then I worked back, then I finished out her term, and then I guess ran for it and got that position.
All right.
There, ran for president, got that position. And then as far as the Western Region vice president, I was kind of suckered into that too. But needless to say, I was convinced to run for that. I didn't think I was going to get it, but I did. And so that's why I get into the leadership part. But with regards to skiing, for me, it was like I got a taste like Sharon at Alpine. That was my first winter carnival at Alpine Meadows.
Right.
And that's when it was, I think that the host hotel might have been that hotel on North, like the Hyatt. I think it's the Hyatt Hotel.
The Hyatt in North Lake.
Yeah, that's where we were at. And it was so many people. Yes.
What was it, Sharon?
No,
Calneva.
Calneva.
No, it was right on the lake.
That was afterwards. We moved to that one, but Calneva was the first one.
Oh, okay. So this was the second one. It was the one when it was at I guess it was the Hyatt.
Hyatt Incline.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
There were so many people, and there was just so much excitement. So I just really got a bug for it. And then from there, we took lessons, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history. All right. Now, what's funny about both of you is you both kind of got bamboozled in the office. But when you got there, Angie Stowers is online, and she says Sharon is correct. Angie Stowers is one of our Ebony Skin Racket Club members, and she has been in the club a long time. So thanks for watching, Angie. But you both got bamboozled into these offices, and then once you got there, you found out it was okay, right? And then you stayed in office and continued on.
Yes.
So awesome. That's to our benefit. Well, thank you. And you said, of course. All right. So we have one other person. We've got a surprise guest. We weren't sure we could get her, but we're so glad. You may have caught her image in the video if you were watching that. But I want to welcome our next guest who is who led at the national level, right? This is Peggy Allen, former national president of the NBS, right? Immediate past president, I want you to know. Peggy grew up in upstate New York. Even though she was surrounded by mountains in New York and Vermont, she didn't learn to ski until early 40s. She attended an Eastern Region Winterfest at Sugarbush with one of her friends and the Icebreakers, and she was hooked. She returned to Albany along with several other friends and formed Nubian Empire Ski Club, where she was voted in as the founding president. So she just learned how to ski, and she's already, leading a ski club all right now. She mentored in her early years. She was mentored by Black Ski's very own Russ Bacon. And from her enthusiasm for the sport and her organizational skills, it led her to be elected as the Eastern Region Director and Vice President, where she ran several successful events, such as early season warm-up, Winterfest, and Summerfest. In 2016, she was elected as the national president of the NBS and served a 4-year term. Amongst her many accomplishments accomplishments like bringing back the fun and increasing attendance. She decreased administrative costs by almost 50%. And the REI documentary that got international attention. But her proudest moment was getting our founders, Art Clay and Ben Finley, inducted into the first African Americans into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. That is cool. I'm sure they were the first. So it's never, I don't know how long they've been around, probably 50, 60 years. So that's awesome. Outside of the NBS, she's a retired program manager from the New York State Department of Health with over 32 years of experience. And she's volunteered for 20 years with the American Diabetes Association, where she's run many events and served as regional chair. She's also served in many leadership roles as the local chapter of the Girlfriends Incorporated. And I was reading a little bit about Girlfriends Incorporated in this book, and I didn't know what that was, but I believe they were like the oldest women's association. Peggy can tell us a little bit about that. Let's bring her into the room. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on such short notice, Peggy. I appreciate you.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Well, first, I want people to know about your background, but first I got to know a little bit about the Girlfriends Clubs. Tell us who they were.
The Girlfriends organization is one of the oldest African American organizations in the country, and we are getting ready for our 88th, I think, national conclave in San Diego later on this year. And basically, it all started around a pot of stew with a group of women in New York when their husbands started to move away from the city. Back then, you couldn't stay in hotels. So if they were traveling to visit family or friends, they would call, their friends, say, okay, somebody's coming, they're going to stay there. They would put them up. They'd go on to the next thing. And then they realized they really missed each other, but then they were forming friends elsewhere within the community. So little clusters of women's groups started forming. And we're going to be celebrating our 100th anniversary coming up very soon. And, then that's how the Girlfriends came about, a group of Black women just trying to remain friends. We have civic responsibilities that we do, but we're primarily social. It's based on friendship.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome. Thank you. I read about a little bit about that in the books and Mountains and Memories. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that. I hadn't heard of them before. Did they form primarily on the East Coast?
They formed originally on the East Coast, like I said, based out of New York, but we have 49 now, 48 or 49 chapters throughout the country, several out in California.
Wow, awesome. Mm-hmm. Very cool to hear about that. Now I see Stacy Walton is joining us from Sipper and Slippers and Sliders in Denver. Welcome, Stacy. I haven't lived there for 3 years. Yes, you've been here with us in Sacramento. So I know you haven't lived there, but you're still representing. I hope we see you at the summit. So awesome. Now back to Peggy. Peggy, tell us a little bit about your family heritage, and then a little bit about how you got into skiing.
I was raised in rural upstate New York, outside of Albany, about 30 miles outside of Albany, surrounded by mountains. But as you previously mentioned, didn't go skiing until much later in life. My parents sent me on one ski trip to a small mountain, Willard Mountain, when I was maybe 14, 15 years old. And then the skis had to be like above the tips of your fingers. So they were these big, long skis. And I went once, I loved it. My parents said, well, that's nice, but we can't afford to send you anymore. So that was the end of that until I, became older. And then I had a dear friend out of the Icebreakers who said, come on, go on. I think it was a Winterfest up in Sugar Bush in Vermont. And at the time I was training for a marathon. And like most people, you think, oh no, I'm going to like break a leg or do something. Black people don't ski. I was like, oh no, I am not going skiing while I'm in the midst of training for my marathon. But as soon as I finished with my marathon, she said, okay, you're signed up. So I went with her. I'm forever grateful. I took a 3-day learn to ski because like everybody said, it's important to take lessons and not learn from your friends. And I was hooked. I was like, wow, I've been missing this, all this time. I felt like I've been wasting time. I was surrounded by these mountains where I could have gone skiing elsewhere. And then I don't want to be left out because I feel like I was bamboozled into a leadership position. I came back and there was a gentleman, Phil Littlejohn, may he rest in peace. We just lost him. He had started gathering people to form a club in Albany, New York. And so I was like, yes, I love this. We got to do that. And he thought, I guess I was enthusiastic about it. And I thought that he was going to be our founding president. And he said, I nominate Peggy as the founding president. I was like, well, you've been doing everything, Phil. So I was the founding president of the Nubian Empire Ski Club out of Albany for years and years. And from there, I love this organization. It's it's a great group of people, gets you outside of your comfort zone, doing things that you thought that you would never, ever do. And the next thing you know, I was elected as the Eastern Region Director, where I worked on several Winterfest and Summerfest, because we also have fun during the summer also. And then I was elected as the Eastern Region Vice President. And I had no intentions, I think, of running as national president. And the next thing I know, I was running for a national president and I won. So I was very grateful for that time as the national president. You learn a lot. You learn about things that you never thought that you would get a chance to do, like doing contracts with entertainers and learning about their riders, and me having to tell them, no, you cannot have vodka in the green room. You can bring it, but we can't buy it for you, just little things like that.
Awesome. I was just getting ready to ask that question. Good segue. I was going to ask, I noticed that all of you have leadership in your background. You've all been leaders in other ways. And what is unique about leading in the NBS? What is unique about this organization and leading in it?
I think that because skiers are just a joyous group of people, which, makes it a little easier. But we're also a group of African-American people too, which brings its challenges also. But it's just, I think the feeling of family, the camaraderie, just makes it just completely different from most organizations, from your church organization, from your sorority organizations. It's just a different vibe, a different feel.
Different vibe. What say you, Sharon?
I agree. I think that being a leader in this organization, you meet so many different people across the states, and those relationships are long lasting. even when, when you meet other leaders from different clubs, when they're no longer a leader or you're no longer a leader, you still keep in touch. So it's the commitment to the relationship that I for being a leader. It's a treasure, and it's something that other organizations may not have. And considering that the National Brotherhood of Skiers is the only African American ski organization, we represent a lot of things, known and unknown.
Big and small ways, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think about, all the little things. So one of the things we didn't know we were contributing to is this ski magazine right here. This is the first time, this magazine has been around for 75 years. This is the first time a Black skier has been featured on the cover of them. This is Earl Kerr, right, out of the NBS, right? And this is the first time a Black man has been featured. So small ways, right? These are little nudges that happen as a result of our commitment and our gathering, right? I think about all of the children who grew up skiing when I didn't grow up skiing, but my nieces and nephews, they all grew up skiing. And skiing was just second nature. And I got a little picture of my grandniece. Today is her first day on snow. She's 3 years old today. And that just warmed my heart, right, to see that legacy continuing, right? So you're right, Sharon, known and unknown, right? Little ways and big ways. We've made such a difference. And for people who come out, whether they come out one time or continue to come out every year.
And,
what about you, Stephanie? What say you about leading in the NBS?
I think for me, it's a sense of community. It's it's something that you can't get, I feel, in another organization. Similar to what Sharon said, there are challenges, but at the end of the day, you have a good feeling about what you're doing. And you do it over and over again, and you do it without pay. And that's the thing. Like, how many places are you gonna, or how many jobs are you gonna have where you're gonna do this without pay, to the wee hours of the night, without sleep, And the other thing about it is that when you're facing the outside organizations that aren't NBS, when you go and you start to negotiate the contracts, you're dealing with the majority people. But the thing about it is that you're representing your community as you do these things. So there's a sense of purpose, there's a sense of pride, and there's a sense for me of, failure is not an option. I'm going to get this done, and I have to get this done because I have my community, really depending upon me to make this event happen. So
it's going to the table, trying to do what is best for the National Brotherhood of Skiers. Exactly. It was like, remove yourself out of it, because it's not about me, it's not about Zephy, it's not about Sharon. It's about what is going to be the best for the organization in a whole, on local, regional, and national levels.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things I noticed.
I just want to jump in one thing,
Sure.
and you haven't asked this question, but I have to put it out there. Being part of this organization, one of the best things for me is when we go to a resort, like I don't know, it could just be a regular resort like Breckenridge. I think my first one was at Park City, and we had our winter carnival there. And I got a chuckle. I have to say this. I got a chuckle out of all the Caucasian people coming up to me saying, "What are all these Black people doing here? Like, why are you guys here?" And it's like, oh, you wanted to say, well, we're here to, but we're like, we're here to ski, just like you. So it's amazing how many people don't know that Black people ski, and we ski well. It's not like we're just on the bunny hills. Like, we have some skiers that will ski some people and that's the part that
I'm married to one
go
of them.
to these. Yes, exactly. So that's the little funny, like the little parts where we go to different resorts, and they're always like, "Why are all these Black people here? What are they doing here?" And then we see them as we're going down the slopes, and they're just like, "There's one." I just wanted to throw that in there.
You know, and Sharon being on the chair with them, and it's always interesting because you'll be on the chair, and some people are you know are like frozen, like afraid to look
Yes.
over at you. They're like, "What in the world?" And then you know the other ones, you like will lean over and say, "What in the world is going on?" I've never
Yes.
seen a bunch of Black people out there. They're very like they really want to know. They're engaged. They're curious about the organization. And then you got those that are afraid to even look at you.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gigi. I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, that is fun. Fun. I appreciate that. We've got a couple of comments from the crowd. I saw Marilyn Nyberg is in the house talking about we're profiles and leadership, and it's awesome to see this kind of you know, representation in our ranks as Black females, right? At Guest Brown Impact, we're all about all things women, you know, all things equity and all things leadership, and I love to elevate and magnify Black excellence and Black women in leadership. And that's what I have on this team right here. And I'm also mindful that when I was reading the book, Mountains and Myths, that they talked about Ben and Clay's commitment. They had their strong organizational skills and their civic community and commitment. And I can see that in each one of you. So you are their legacy, right? I mean, all of you have talked about the hours you put in and the commitment to the community. It's something beyond yourself, right? It's not about you anymore. It's about the community, and just having making an impact. And you've all have had a significant impact. Sharon, you've been leading in the NBS for 21 years, and Sefi, you've had various roles, but how many years have you been leading in the NBS? If you guys get total of all the years, how many years have you been leading?
I got 20.
You got 20? All right.
I got 20.
All right. And this is a volunteer organization, right? Right? So there's nobody getting paid here.
And it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. People say, "Oh, a ski organization," but it's a lot of work. You wouldn't believe all the everything that's detailed into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to serve one little term as the regional winter carnival, and that was enough for me. I'm like, no, I'm going back to my local club level where I have more control, because it's a structure, it's an organization, right? You don't get to just do what you want to do. It's got rules and there's guidelines. But we've got Mike Geronimo Lanier online, and he said, don't forget about Bessie Gay and Rose Pickram, who have also led an NBS. So many people in this book. There's a whole section on women who are leading in the NBS. So many people. Yes, we don't want to forget about anyone, but I hope that Naomi is going to do a sequel to this, because you know now we're 50 years and the history continues. But it's so nice for somebody who have done this, right, to have captured all of this detail that she
does a very good job with it too. She does a very good job.
Yes,
Naomi,
so that we don't forget all these details, because it's easy as life goes on to forget.
Absolutely. And I'm sure I know in the book elsewhere she also says, you know, the organization is 50 years old, but there is a lot of ski clubs that are a lot older than 50 years old. You know, Jim Dandy's being one of them out of Detroit. They've got to be like celebrating 65, 67, something like that.
Wow, I did not know that. Oh, Jim Dandy. Okay, no wonder they're, you know, I think I'm so impressed by them, because they're always going to France to ski, and they're going out of the country to ski. And I haven't been out of the country. Oh, well, that's not true. I've been to Whistler, so I have been out of the country, but I haven't been across the ocean. So I would love to do that too. So I might have to become a Jim Dandy member so I can go across the lake with them. What about the most fun places you guys have skied? What's your favorite mountain?
Well, you just said my favorite is Whistler.
Yeah, Whistler's like a
Whistler's
Disneyland
my favorite.
for adults.
And my favorite run is Seventh Heaven.
Oh, at Whistler?
Okay. It's either on the Whistler Blackcomb. It may be in between, but yeah, Whistler, hands down. There nothing, in my view, can compare to Whistler.
That was my first summit, was Whistler.
And from the East Coast, when we say follow the trail down, in Vermont, there's trees on both sides of the trail. So when I got out to Whistler and we took a tour of the mountain and we're following the mountain guide, he said, just follow this trail down. And we were above the tree line, and I've never been above the tree line. And I was like, what trail? Because it was just so wide open. I said, I'm staying right behind you because I'm not falling off of this mountain. That's how I felt. But I love Steamboat. I've had some very good times. And I think my first time when I actually got a chance to ski in real powder, like you see on TV, where it blowing in your face and all of that. That was my first time was in Steamboat, where that happened. And I came back, I was like horse. I was just so excited.
You were screaming? You were screaming?
I was screaming. I was hollering. I was like, oh my goodness.
That is awesome. That is awesome. How about you, Zippy?
So for me, I love Whistler, but the funnest time I ever had was outside of the US when we went to New Zealand and we went to the Remarkables, and there are no trees.
Oh,
and you're above the clouds. Because you're looking down and you see like the airplanes and you're like, why are the airplanes so low? No, but it's a completely different experience, but it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Wow, that has got to be incredible. The air's got to be really thin up there.
Well, they give you something called a whistle or something. It's like some kind of drink. So you don't notice because you have to. The way you get there, it's like a really narrow road and you're on this rickety school bus that takes you there, and then you're meeting vehicles coming towards you and you're just trying to figure out how this is going to work. So by the time you get there, you're already like, a nervous wreck. But then you have a little bit of that whistle stuff they give you and you're calm, and then you just hit the slope.
It's interesting. We got to find out what's in that whistle.
I know. I want to know
too. But that sounds
need a little whistle in our life.
That sounds amazing. I want to ski somewhere in the French Alps. That's my dream.
Chamonix is wonderful.
Chamonix. Have you been there, Peggy?
Yeah.
But it's not your favorite.
I still love that Steamboat.
Okay. Well, I've been to Steamboat and I had a heck of fun there too. I had a heck of fun at Steamboat and at Whistler, so that was really cool. Myself, I've been skiing for about 20 years in the NBS, so I'm amazed at that. But time just flies, right? Time just flies, and I totally enjoy. In my early days of skiing, I was the youth race coordinator for my club. So for 8 years, I was like the chaperone. So I didn't get a chance to participate in the happy hours or the parties. But now I don't have any kids. I really get to go to the summit and really have a good time. And that's been a lot of fun.
That's going to be me this year, not being national president. It's like, yeah, you get to go and ski and have fun and not be running in and out of meetings and everything. Yes.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's the question that you get to. So you just get to have fun. Look who's on with us. Do anybody know Ida Cochran?
Yes.
You do? Yeah. She skied Kitzbühel, Austria, and Chamonix, France, and Italy. That's what I'm talking about. I want to get outside the country at some point, but that's the dream. So I'm sure I'll do it. It's just like everything else. All right, ladies. What historic milestones do you want to talk about under your leadership? You get a chance to talk about something you're really proud of. What would that be?
I mean, I can start, as you mentioned before, I was thrilled and honored to be able to continue the work and cross the finish line with getting Art and Ben, our founders, inducted as the first African Americans into United States Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. It was a process that had taken years, starting with one of our former presidents, Joe Long. Naomi, was helping to write letters. Kim Bentley helped. And then I think it just
moved forward once I became president, reaching out to the Hall of Fame and making sure that they had a bigger picture of the National Brotherhood of Skiers. And then we were able to go to the table. We were now became voting members on the board of the Hall of Fame. So I think that made a huge difference, and it took them, Art and Ben, a few tries to get in, but on the third try we got them in, and I said, what an honor. They were supposed to be inducted actually in 2020, right after our Sun Valley summit, but then the world shut down. So they just got inducted. Their official induction was just last March. So during that 2-year period, I was like, oh, please, Lord, please let them remain healthy, let them be okay so they can have their moment. And what a moment it was. I was just so very happy for them.
Oh,
so proud.
Thank you. 3 times you had to submit.
Oh, yeah, it was submitted more because originally it was submitted as the organization as a whole, and that really didn't fly. And then it had to, then we just focused on the founders.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Thank you for that work. They deserve that.
They do.
Yes.
And they were like little kids at the induction. It was so cute.
Anybody know how old they are now?
They're like well into their 80s, 80. I don't know if they want us telling us, but they're in their 80s.
Okay, they're in their 80s. Okay, that's good. That's good enough. Awesome.
So for me, it was more of a challenge of just kind of turning our organization around. You know, financially, we were having some challenges and stuff. So that was basically my purpose, was just to turn the organization around.
The region around? Or
yeah, the regional
the
organization,
yeah.
not the national.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that and get people interested, you know, in running for offices and also in attending our events.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations.
You also had your hands in national too, Zeffie.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, because when you're you also sit on the national board too. So
oh, I see. All the regionals have a seat on the national board.
Yeah, we work at the national level also.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And Sherry, Miss Sargent.
So I believe the question is, what was the question again?
What significant milestone did you want to talk about as a result of your?
For me, there's 2. The first one being something that you've tapped into already, our youth program. Many kudos should go out to yourself and Ernest. Without your determination, your commitment, your frustrations, like everything thrown into one, we would not have had that program, because at that time, no one was really engaged in the youth, except for you and Ernest. You know, you guys, I've said this time and time again, you guys were the youth program. Like, you know, there'll be times when you come up to me like, look, I need some money. And I'm like, I don't have no money. Well, you need money. These kids need this, and this. And it's like, okay, I'll go find some money for you. You know, so that was, and then being recognized, having our youth program, and you have the receipt behind you, being recognized on the national level, considering there was more at that time, there was more than 60 clubs. And then just to have our little small youth program, our club was small compared to a lot of other NBS clubs, and being recognized like that, that was a big highlight. And then on a smaller scale with myself, you asked about being in the club. I've been around for 29 years, and the region recognized me with this baby. So on a personal level, that
what is that, Sharon?
It's National Brotherhood of Skiers honors me for my many years of service and dedication to the Western region. So
Oh,
as you can see, it's clean. I clean
yes,
it, make sure,
yes.
there's no dust on
It's
it.
beautiful.
But like Zeppi and Peggy said, and you said as well, it's a volunteer organization, and it's more than an organization, it's a business. And I don't think that people understand what goes on behind the scenes, what we as leaders are doing to make these events fun for them. You always get, well, what are we getting for our registration? But no one ever talks about, well, what have we done to get you to this point to register?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
point.
we're here, we do it because we love it. Because again, this is not a paying gig, we
Right.
do it because our hearts are in it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for all the work you do for Ebony. You really do deserve that award and so much more. I appreciated you when Ernest and I were at the ski, running the ski team. That was a blast. And I don't think we would trade those years for anything. It was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. And I also wanted to shout out Prescott Rivas as the Western Region ski coach and the National Region ski coach, I believe, who's gone on to glory, and also Heyman Jahi, who was the Western Region, and they also supported us in our racing and skiing, and I just wanted to, say their names and recognize their efforts and talents, and send love to them. They're no longer with us, but we love them.
Still.
Thank you. All right, you guys are making me emotional, so let me get going. All right, so we do have a few things to give away. We have some NBS swag for people who are watching, so definitely put your name in the chat if you're watching, so we can put your name in the raffle. So let me tell you about the raffle prizes we have coming up, and we'll come back to talk to these ladies, so don't go away. We've still got more with them, but let's talk about the raffles. So this book is, we're going to give away this book. Someone asked about it in the chat, but if you put your name in the raffle, perhaps you'll win it. We'll send that to you. Marina will reach out to you for your address. And the other raffle prize is some NBS swag, a nice little bathrobe, still in the bag, never worn, of course. And it's a nice little swag items for you. So give me a minute to sort through the raffle, who's put their name into the raffles, and announce the winner. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. No. All right, we're ready. We got some winners. All right, we'll be mailing this book, Mountains, Memories, and Myths, to Lorraine Tucker Shelton. Thank you for joining us. We'll get your address. Don't put it in the chat because that's public, but Marina will reach out to you. Marina, tell her how to get her name and address to you. Thank you. And then for the bathrobe, we have none other than Ida Cochran. So thank you for joining us today. We'll get this bathrobe over to you. There we go. Thank you so much. All right, those are it for our gifts right now. But I want to get back to our ladies, and let's finish this interview. All right. So I had a couple of questions for you, and I'm wondering, what haven't I asked that you think it might be important for people to know about the NBS or about leading in the NBS?
That's a good question.
Well, I think overall, because all these gray hairs are from the NBS, is what I say. Um, Thank you kindly. So like we said before, it's a lot of work, but the satisfaction that you get from it, and like we mentioned before, the camaraderie, the family. I mean, there's people that are calling me right now that I haven't heard from in years that are all planning to go out to the 50th, because I think it just me and a lot of people are going that no longer ski, but they just say they want to be a part of of us celebrating our 50th anniversary. So I think when you look at everything overall, I mean, it's a great opportunity to get to learn things, to do things that you've never done before. My little motto is, I always say, this thing called life, because you never know what's gonna, come around the corner, and what you're gonna get yourself into, and what it is going to lead you to. And like I said, besides the gray hairs, we always say that it's been an overwhelming positive experience to lead the NBS in various positions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. I'm wondering if there's any difference. Or do you feel, is there any unique challenges about being a woman leader in the NBS versus a male leader in the NBS?
I think so. I think there are challenges. I think that for whatever reason, as a woman, you don't get the same respect that you would get you get challenges, like you say something and then there's a challenge. They feel either you don't know what you're talking about, or it's just like normal life stuff too.
It's regular stuff
Just
from
regular
life.
stuff.
It's not any difference because
Yes, it's the regular life stuff. But I wanted to add another comment to the previous question you asked.
Okay.
I think when you're a leader in the NBS, it gives you these skills that you can transition to outside real jobs, like event planning, contract negotiation, conflict resolution, all the skills you learn
Awesome.
working in the NBS.
Right.
Plus, the NBS is a place, especially at the club level, where you have an idea and you can bring that idea to that club, and then people will get behind you and you can run with this idea and you have support for it, whether it be a trip to like a houseboat trip, or you want to go to an island, or whatever it is, you've got support. For example, this is a quick side, but for a quick example, I ran a marathon and I brought that back to the club, and they decided they wanted to learn how to run half marathons. So I taught them. So my whole club ran the first half marathon in the San Jose Rock and Roll. So this is an example that, no other organization can you go to and say, hey, you guys want to run a marathon? They'll look at you cross-eyed.
Yeah, that's true.
And these weren't runners. These were people that had never ran before.
Yeah.
They got behind it.
That's a good point. There's a couple of corollary organizations that came out of the NBS. There's the Black Yachters Club, right? And they were doing yachting all over the world. There's the Black Bike Club. Like a lot of the NBS members were out of the Black Bike Club. So it did give birth to a lot of corollary organizations as well. And Miss Sharon, I want to give you a chance to say something.
Well, for those that are local, I'm doing a total sidebar here. Ebony Skiing Racket, we will have a beginner for those of you that are interested, or if you have kids, if you have grandkids, if you know of some kids, or if you know of adults, it's just not kids. We're going to be hosting an event in March. We're going to take a bus up to the ski slope and teach adults and children and young teens how to ski. So if you're interested, just let us know.
Awesome. And where can they locate you? How do they let you know?
or they can go to Sharon Nichols Sargent's Facebook page.
Okay. Sharon Nichols Sargent. You can see the spelling of her name. And Nichols is Nichols.
Right. Or Ebony Ski and Racket Club. We have a Facebook page that I'm monitoring.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. And anything else would you like to these ladies, would you like to share before we wrap things up?
I just hope to see everybody at in Vail celebrating our 50th. It's going to be a joyous time, and I probably would suggest having a few vacation days after you get back from this vacation, because I think you're going to need it.
Well, I just want to thank you all for coming. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for sharing. I want to thank you for your decades of leadership in the NBS, and all the people, on behalf of all the people that you had events for, hosted events for, stayed up nights for, stuffed bags for, raised funds for. I just want to thank you for all that you've done over the many, many decades that you have served in the NBS. Thank you for stepping up to the challenge. Women have to shoulder so much. We have husbands, we have jobs, we have kids, and we lead well. And you have, 3 examples in front of you. So actually 4, I consider myself one of those. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for what you do all the time. And may you continue to do so, because I benefit as well. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for joining us. Bye, Yvonne Brock Lloyd. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you. I have a few little announcements, but I wanted to thank my guests. I have a few other announcements. And my guests, you are invited to join if you're local. Next up, I want to tell you about events that are happening at Guest Brown Impact. We're going to have an African American readout night. And this is going to be hosted by Underground Books in honor of Black History Month on February the 22nd at 6 p.m. We're going to have light refreshments. The moderator is an educator, none other than my cousin, who is also a lovely leader, Lisa Brunson. Next slide, please. The book we're going to be reading is Black Women Will Save the World. And this is an awesome book by our White House correspondent, April Ryan. It is absolutely free. So please keep an eye out for this and do sign up for it. We should be advertising this on Monday, by Monday. I want to read a little bit from this book because she's amazing, and I do share these sentiments. But she shares in the first pages of her book, she says, "I'm so excited about the conversation that this book will spur. A conversation about what it means to exalt and respect Black women. A conversation about what it means to celebrate our leadership, hold space for our vulnerability. A conversation about what a true allyship really means. A conversation about honoring Black women by not just venerating us for us when we save the day, as we're apt to do, but rather by relieving us of oppression so that we can climb, advance, achieve, and triumph, so that we can breathe, heal, and be. Black women have always leaned in, and now you, my dear reader, must lean in too to do your part. Join me in celebrating Black women, seeing Black women and supporting Black women, and standing by Black women by creating space for their full humanity. America's superhero is here. She's always been here, but now we're paying attention. Indeed, Black women will save the world. We already have. We are." Wow, that is April Ryan. And no problem. We'll see the leaders later, but I just wanted to invite you all to join for that. And we have a couple of other events. Our next, the NBS Summit. Yes, join us in Vail. Go to nbs.org, April 4th through the 11th. You know it's going to be a party. We always have a good time. There's a happy hour every night. There's skiing, there's partying, there's camaraderie, there's lessons. And so do join us for that. I also want to let you know that our next LinkedIn Live is February the 18th. Our guest speaker for that one is Jerusha Stewart, a CEO of Take Your Seat, an organization whose mission it is to get more Black people on boards. So I thank you for your time today, and I thank you for all of my speakers. I want to thank Biz Chicks, who is our production team. I want to thank Marina, my executive assistant, who's in the background. I want to thank my husband, who is, he is just awesome. I couldn't ask for a better mate. I thank God for him every day. So thank you. I think he's my roadie. That's what he is. He's my set design guy and my roadie. I want to thank him for that. Thank you, Biz Chicks. They take the hassle out of your hustle. If you need production or anything like that, remember them. I thank you all, and goodbye. See you next time, February. We're coming back in February.
And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll